So I've heard that fighting games have flaws, but I need to check that out myself to make sure that's true. What the? Oh yeah, no, I can't let that slide. That was really unacceptable. Like, how did that even happen? It should be no surprise that fighting games are not perfect. I mean, you have a bunch of people complaining and making excuses about them. I know it's playful banter though. With all seriousness, fighting games have many flaws. If you don't play fighting games or are pretty familiar with them, leave a comment down below on what flaws you think they have. But are these flaws what make them scary for newcomers? I'll go over a few points on the biggest flaws I think fighting games have. I'll also try to give some solutions to those flaws. Of course, not every fighting game will have these flaws, but this is more of a general idea. I do think that recent fighting games have been doing a good job in trying to make this genre better. I would hope by the future, fighting games are played by many and loved by many. When I say many, I mean many more. What is the first thing you would see in any game? Maybe an intro and a title screen. But after all that, you would get into the game's main menu. The main menu is very important when it comes to navigating through the game. It's what takes you from the no game part of the game to the game part of the game. So you would want a game's menu to be easy to navigate. Now here's the thing, I don't understand why, but fighting games actually struggle on that. Fighting games are one of the genres that would actually consist of many menus to get into the gameplay. But for whatever reason, they're either boring looking or hard to navigate. This doesn't apply with every fighting game, but many of them are not great. I don't know why, but many Arc system fighting games tend to have the most annoying menus I've ever seen. Someone explained to me why Blazblue Central Fiction's first menu option is training. I understand that you would want your players to practice the game or go to the tutorial, but what if you want to just get right into the game? And on top of that, it's a bit tough to know the point of each mode. Don't even get me started on Guilty Gear XIII Rev 2's menu. That one's just abysmal. It's really hard to navigate for some reason. And in terms of plain looking menus, just look at KOF 15's menu. That one is literally just a black background with a logo. There's also Under Night literally just being a list. But I'll give that game the benefit of the doubt because it does look a bit stylish at the same time, so it barely gets a pass. There's also the hub world, which has been becoming a trend recently. I wouldn't necessarily say they are bad honestly. They can be tough to navigate, but it does bring a sense of exploration to it, which is pretty cool honestly. There's also the interactiveness to it, which makes it more lively. So how can you make fighting game menus better? I'd like to divert your attention to the Dragon Ball series. For whatever reason, the games from Raging Blast and before had some of the best menus in games in general. These are some of the most stylish and fun looking menus that I really wish would be utilized in more games. I know these really aren't true fighting games, but these menus do it all. They give you an idea of what to expect in the mode, and on top of that, you have the explanations of that mode. Smash, oh here we go again with Smash, has a stylish menu too. You know exactly what the main mode of the game is, so you would most likely go to it first. And that's the important thing. If you want to get right into the game, how about putting the main option as the first thing? That way, new players won't have trouble getting right into the game, and veterans can also just get right into it. More modern games have been doing a good job in making menus cool, so maybe there isn't much to worry about in the future. I guess fighting games are truly evolving. I shouldn't really need to tell you that fighting games have skill gaps. Any game can have one. However, fighting games truly feel like there's a gap between a casual player and a professional. Now okay, that doesn't sound like a huge problem until you play online. Sure, there are ranks included, but let's say you're already at the top rank. You'll run into two types of players, the average and the skilled. Sure, the average player is pretty average overall, but skilled players can make you feel like the worst player. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. Hear me out. Depending on the type of person you are, you can either try to grow out of that experience or just stay the same level and complain. Here's the thing, I don't believe in complaining. The reason that the player beat you, whether it was by cheese or pure skill, is because they were able to outplay you. So you either learn from it or stay where you are. Now is this a flaw? Kind of. Say you're a new player in a game that existed for years. You clearly don't know the game very well, but the players around you do. So if you plan to play against other players, you'll feel very outplaced. So now it's a question of, will you try to get better or will you give up and be demotivated? It could really go either way, which is somewhat why fighting games struggle to get more new players. But it could also be one of the charms of fighting games. Now, what are some countermeasures for a situation like this? Well, there really is no solution. It's more of a player issue, not a game issue. The determined stay determined and the undetermined won't bother. However, what fighting games try to do is something I already mentioned, and it's online ranking. It's okay, I'd say. It feels pretty rewarding to go from one rank to the next. Honestly, I think what some games should do is some seasonal reset. Like if you're in the very top rank, there should be tiers to that rank. So for Street Fighter, you can have Master, then Master +1, and so on. I guess they kind of have something like that with Master League though. I wouldn't know since I don't have the game. Someday though. But I think that should be more of a top rank thing and not every single rank in the game. But that only makes the top players feel rewarded. I really don't have any ideas in terms of what to do for not so high level players. If you have an idea, you can leave them in the comments because I'm interested in what you think. I'll never stop talking about fighting game controls. I've literally made 2 videos about them, which you should check out by the way. This can kind of be in the same category as a skill gap. Simply put, I disagree with mechanics like auto combos or modern controls or anything like that. I've said this before, but I feel like fighting games exist to feel rewarding. When there's a lot more included in terms of controls, that makes a game a lot more interesting. Just look at Tekken and its absurd amount of moves. But that does not mean I like technical controls. There has to be some sort of balance between easy to play and very hard. KOF is a great example of when a game is too technical. The game probably has the biggest skill gap in any fighting game, and it's mainly because of how hard it is to actually learn this game. Whoever dedicated enough time to be good at this game, I just want you to know that I'm proud of you. Choosing a character because they look cool is not really a great option in this game. Every character requires a different amount of skill. Kyo, Iori, and Terry wouldn't be very hard to learn. But a character like Angel as well, you need to be very dedicated to be decent with her. But if we take it to a game like FighterZ, every character is pretty easy to learn. Now this is where I have to actually apologize for the concept of auto combos because I don't think you can really say a game like FighterZ has auto combos. Well, it does, but that's how the game was built. Now let me clarify something. I finally understand my stance in the entire auto combo modern controls fiasco. If a game is built for the purpose of using simple controls, I'll let that slide. But if the game is made for command normals and such, then I can't let auto combos and stuff slide in those games. If the game was built for command normals and command inputs and such, then there should be a way to motivate players to practice the game using such controls. I promise you, there's a certain charm in knowing how to do a sequence of inputs rather than a pattern of simple controls. At least when it comes to games where auto combos aren't the focus type of controls. I think I've found the worst version of auto combos ever. There's a certain Arc System game called Arcana Heart, and I'll be honest, this game is pretty whatever. However, if you use simple controls, you will know what I mean when I say I don't like auto combos. If you press the light button a bunch, your character will pretty much play the game for you. You literally do a whole combo with low effort with a super in there. I don't even understand how you can even see that as rewarding. But as I said before with skill gaps, it really comes down to the determination of a player to learn how to use normal controls and stuff. I have changed my stance a bit in the auto combo discussion, so I won't absolutely disagree with them, even though that just contradicts what I said earlier. I just don't think it's the best solution to get a beginner into a fighting game. There are probably a lot more flaws in fighting games that I haven't discussed. Fighting games are vast and have a lot put into them, so not everything will be amazing in them. I don't think there will ever be a perfect fighting game, so there's no point in being very picky about the flaws. But it is interesting to think of ways to make them less flawed. What it really comes down to is, depending on the type of person you are, this could be a big problem or not a problem at all. fighting games will keep evolving and eventually will become a lot more enjoyable than they already are. I just wanted to discover some ideas of things I always thought were annoying in fighting games. There will never be a right way to prevent these issues, but there are ways to make them less of an issue. I don't really hate these flaws, I just see them as mild nuisances. What are some flaws you guys think are in fighting games? Leave a comment down below. Anyways, time to get good at this genre.